Welcome to EVE Online. I'm Major Freak. We're going to deal with sound prioritization. So when I see something like that, I go, oh, great. Can I toggle off my music at will? Can I toggle off world level at will? Can I toggle off UI sounds at will? Can I toggle off voice? All those basic right here. Can I toggle these off? Can I have toggles for these? Could I just literally turn those sounds off? If I'm having a problem with my clients and I'm starting to get, and I quote, hear that? The snap, crackle, pop. To get that a lot when you're doing multiple clients with sound, you really have to throttle your sounds. But yeah, that would be awesome. That's what I want. But what we're getting is CCP saying, "Oh, Eve wants the sound engine, which isn't ours. It's not. The Eve is trying to get the sound engine, and we didn't know this totally, to play all the sounds at once, no matter if it's on grid, it's going to want to play it, and that's why you get all this. And this is their example. They have a ton of things on field, right? And they're going, oh, we're just going to do LOD now. We're just going to try to prioritize it for, distance to, and if it's important to hear, and blah blah blah. So we're gonna actually respect this thing, which we didn't have a clue about before. So you can actually turn on all the sounds now. And you're like, you're expecting us to believe your bullshit that you fixed the problem, and their example of fixing the problem is, yeah, this, totally, that, how many people are on grid right now? Yeah, not even close. Like, oh, and what are you doing? Oh, really hammering that's totally the same scenario. And you'll hear, yeah, hear that? It's like, Hear that crack? All right, so they haven't fixed it at all. They've just we've toned it down, so hear less crackle pops. It's like, any crackle pops is a turn off. Duh. So can we just toggle certain things off? No. They've what did they say up here? Yes, with a view to letting pilots turn their sound on and experience, and then you're like, so your solution to people turning their audio off, because we only have one option to turn something off, and that's the master switch. That's it. Is you're gonna have this new prioritization thing, audio culling, and we're gonna think it's so awesome that everybody's gonna turn their sound on again, and it's like, simply removing sounds indiscriminately is easy. However, this would a less nuanced audio experience. So it's not the route we were taking. That's basically hinting that they're not going to allow us to do toggling customization, enabling, say, music, not enabling music. History lesson, the jukebox. If you watch the jukebox carefully and went to switch tracks, there was lag in the game. There was a microsecond of lag. Just you couldn't interact with your client because it was just it was changing that track, and so every few minutes you were getting a track switch, and it was there was a burst of lag, and they got rid of the jukebox, so you couldn't see the and when you slide that to 0, you know it's still switching tracks, you just can't hear it, and you're still gonna get that lag. So yeah, I know, right? Oh, he fixed the problem. Yeah, that the players couldn't use that as a metric monitoring device. And did CCP have any their only metric for measuring sounds, I think, is that recent survey of how many people turn off the sounds in the game. It's like, oh my god. All right, so I get where they're coming from. It's convoluted in the sense that this is like, oh, it's too demanding, and this is more specific, and it's like, it's still too much for the system, and it's doing the snap crackle pop. This should have been done a long time ago. That's great. You're lowering the snap crackle pop, but it's still there. So yeah, we want to deliver the best audio experience. Well, it's never been the best audio experience ever, and going to the moon is talking points we want to go away from. Not just throw as many sounds at you as possible. Well, which is it? 0 or nothing. I mean, yeah, I'm kidding. It's either full throttle or not at all. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we're not throwing as much at you now, so you can turn it on. But it's to us, it's still, we have the option of turning off, or we have the option of turning on. Period. You're still gonna have problems. And that's why I have one client with sound, and I have music if I want it outside the game, and none of my clients have music, because guess why? It's the worst at making the snap crackle pop. It just, seriously, it's just horrible. So yeah, it's just horrible. Yeah, but if you didn't have the jukebox, you wouldn't have that initial clue, and so you're just, well, you'd probably notice it eventually, and you turn the sound off completely, not just slide the music to 0. Yeah, we're dealing with something that if you turn the sound off completely, you're not going to have to deal with those little blurbs of lag and the snap crackle pop and all the other confusing buzzing cacophony, but they quoting them. Yeah, but the cacophony of, wait, there's a shield warning or there's capacitor warning. Which client is having the issue? And I'm like, oh, okay, wait. I'm looking at my capacitor orb going, okay, which one's being affected? Yeah, that there's no option to alter the pitch or cue or whatever the sound is to make it slightly different, so you can like, oh, okay, I've learned what that sound is. That's client number 4 or 5's hull or something like that, or armor. Something to help you differentiate. The turret sounds include the command burst. So if you want to hear fireworks, you're also going to have to hear command bursts, and they can be really annoying at times, especially when you're in a mining fleet. The mining lasers are loud, the capacitor bursts are loud. That's all the same slider in advanced. Yeah, it can be overwhelming because they've never given us the tools for any nuance. And what they're saying is, well, it's too indiscriminate. Yeah, that would be a less nuance because and it's always them. The immersion is they want you to listen to their music and sounds, and you have no control over it. And that to them is immersion. That's an immersive experience. It's a living experience because it's not indiscriminate. Well, indiscriminate would be letting you guys take care of it. Basically, that's what it boils down to. All right. So I haven't read this bit yet, but that's the gist of all this above. It's just we've decided to put LOD into the sound now, and now you can turn the sounds on. And then if they replicated this exact same scenario, you'd have the same snap, crackle, pop. Less intense, but you'd still have it. But to me, it's like we see it as all or nothing. And I don't want to hear any snap, crackle, pop. It is highly unimmersive. So, yeah. And the secret of doing that is have one client sound. And that, at least in normal day-to-day functioning, won't screw up the other clients. I'll only have to deal with situations where I'm in a large fleet fight and stuff like that. And I just try to throttle, you throttle down the hide all brackets. Just do everything you possibly can to lower the CPU load so you don't get overwhelmed and you still can maybe enjoy the experience. Yeah. And that warp drive active voice is from only one client, and I have gotten so used to not hearing sound for any of these that this feels normal. It's freaky, but it's more enjoyable than hearing the snap, crackle, pop. It's a sad state of affairs. And what have they done? Nothing. It's diddly. Yeah, maybe in a huge mega battle, I'd notice the improvement. But for me, with multiple clients, yeah, it's still a problem, and I can hear it. And they've done nothing to improve that. It's just big fleet battles. That's all we care about. All right. Let's see if we can actually learn something from what they're saying here, because from the above, all we learned was LOD is good. Sorry. Just in case you don't know what LOD is. Isn't LOD, sorry, maybe I'm using the term incorrectly. Isn't LOD, maybe I'm just totally using the wrong term. When you zoom out, the level of detail is lower. When you zoom in, the level of detail is higher, right? Pretty... Yeah, meaning gaming. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Okay, level of detail. Okay, so I've got it right. So, yeah, they've instituted LOD, which is great, but it's still not solving the problem of I'm zoomed in and I don't want to zoom out all the time, buddy. I've got 6 clients. I'm zoomed in, mining, having fun, and I'm getting snap, crackle, pop. And there's nothing you've done to fix that except, ooh, maybe you can zoom out, or if you're zoomed in, people on grid on the far side of the grid, like, I'm pretty freaking sure, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, let's call their bullshit right now. It's like, when I'm zoomed out, I can hear less sounds, right? When I'm zoomed in, I get the snap, crackle, pop, get more sounds, and it can be overwhelming. So if somebody's, like, there, like, I can't hear that sound. Are they going to say, are they telling me that the sound is actually playing for that, but now they're just going to not play the sound? Instead of playing at such a low volume I can't physically hear it, are they, that's what they're implying, right? Well, that's what they're explicitly saying, but in using stupid terms. So that might help, but I still heard snap, crackle, pop in that fixed video they did. So one is assuming that, yeah, I mean, I don't hear snap, crackle, pop when I'm zoomed out. That'll usually fix the issue when I had all the sounds, right? Except for music, of course. Yeah. So let's not kid ourselves. They're implying back in the day, you'd hear the engine sound of that bestower taking off, but we never did. So it's like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Like, there's no possible, like, when I was first reading this, and this little stupid roleplay storyline of, oh, how it used to be and how it's gonna be so awesome, and you're like, but when I was reading this, I'm like, but how can I have 50 ships zoomed in on all of them at the same level of detail, at the same zoom, and engine sounds and all this stuff, but I'm not omniscient. My zoom level is not omniscient. What are you talking about? It's just, when I'm zoomed in on something that's that crazy, yes, it'll want to play all those sounds, right? And that's where you got this. But let me tell you, this LOD thing doesn't fix that at all. Because when you're zoomed in on that many, at the closest, it's like, what they're doing is they're just like, you're going to ignore sounds from those. And it's like, but were you actually attempting to force the engine to play all those engine sounds? And the impression you get reading this is like, oh, well, we didn't really know anything about this WISE because of the third party, and we had no idea, and we were expecting it to do amazing things, but no, it can't do amazing things. And you're like, but that's on you, that's not on WISE. And you're actually admitting that your audio engine forced this on. It's like, it's how to, like, I'm not a technical person, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a sound engineer. These people are trying to say, oh, it was just, well, we had such high expectations of this place because we're awesome and we're gonna make the best game ever. And it's like, no, you're not. It looks like you're throwing shit at the wall, basically. And you're like, we're not going to throw as much shit at the wall. Well, the problem is you're still throwing shit at the wall, right? They've just removed a lot of the sounds. And how much demand is that going to make? See, it's like, okay, so you're not demanding on the audio engine, but you're going to start having what kind of demand? What are you going to do with the code? That's probably the most laziest way possible to not throw so much shit against the wall. Is that going to consume up more CPU power? Just the algorithm inherent in that deciding what? Hopefully not. But yeah, the worry is that there's what do you mean the worry? It's still too much shit thrown against the wall, and it's not a, and they don't want to do, because they think nuance is the opposite of allowing players to decide what to discriminate, because they want to control that. And so giving you guys control is indiscriminate. No. They are the only ones to decide what nuance is. Just literally translating this. I'm not trying to heap shit on CCP or make them look bad. I'm just like, look, this, we heard Snap Crackle Pop in here, and they engineered a scenario that is less, like, they've got less going on here than here. Like, we know that's happening, right? Like, do this exact same thing again and show us the sound, you know? It's like they're going, oh, look, Titans, and it's like, how to describe the stupidity of not being able to have a controlled experiment, right? It's like, this is a hell of a lot. Nobody's freaking moving. There are tons of little ships around. It's like, what are you doing? And I can still hear Snap, Crackle, Pop. So nothing's being fixed. They've toned it down, but what are the CPU costs? They were loading the audio engine with all these demands and not caring about it, and now they're putting how much CPU load on deciding what to give. Like, I'm just trying to, I know I'm repeating myself, sorry, but I'm just trying to get my brain around this concept of, they think they've made it awesome so we can turn on the sound. It's like, no. Okay. Anyways, let's see what we can learn from this. The most important factor when prioritizing audio... Jesus, okay. Audio emitters is how far away it is from the player's camera. The emitters that are close to the camera are considered more important. But we've reduced the sound always by just zooming out. So what the hell is your problem? It's always been that way. They've always had it. So it's like, or during this new thing, it's like, what the hell are you guys talking about? It just makes so little sense, right? Sorry. All right. In fact, the prototype shown at FanFest link, I'd appreciate a link, was only using distance as its prioritization criteria. Why would it be prototype? However, when applying only distance-based prioritization to anything outside of battles, it was killing off important environmental sounds. After FanFest, the following additional factors are added to the sound prioritization to consider whether an inhibitor has ever been used to play a sound, is actively playing a sound, has a sound in range of the listener, is visible to camera, playing a sound is vital, is playing a 2D sound. What? Okay, now they're just dicking with us. I didn't understand any of this. I mean, what? It's like, they're like, we're gonna talk about it, how to explain it, and then you just start throwing techie terms at us, and this is what they do constantly. They're like, we're gonna, high, bass-loving capsulars, we're just gonna totally, like, dumb this down so you can totally understand, and when we're gonna give you details about this stuff, we're gonna stop being condescending and just go full-on wall of text freaking nerd talk, and it's like their nerd talk. 100% their nerd talk. Maybe once in a while you'll get something that you might be able to Google and go, okay, they're talking about some technical thing that tech people talk about. No, they just made their own shit up. Like, I believe this, a 2D sound, is actually, you can Google it. Okay. Yeah, I'm still barely in it. Okay, so I mean, my headphones, if somebody's trying to make a sound behind me, that's 3D, right? But yeah, yeah, I understand the spatial thing, the directional, but all this stuff is like, why are you talking about emitter? Just freaking explain it to us. What is something other than distance-based prioritization? Because we've got it currently. So it's like, could you? Yeah. Trying to deal with this. It's like I'm not learning anything new. I'm not learning anything new about what it used to be and how it's going to be in the future. To me, it sounds like you guys haven't a freaking clue how it used to be, and you haven't a freaking clue how you want it to be. And you're using terms that's like, wait, we already have distance-based prioritization. I zoom out, I hear less sounds. And when I'm on grid, I don't hear the sounds that are far away. I hear what's close. Now, if I use free camera, I won't hear the sounds as much as when I'm closer. So, yeah, it's really frustrating that they don't take the time to go. They don't talk about it. It makes it seem like they're inventing this LOD thing out of thin air and completely ignoring the fact that if you didn't want to hear the sounds, you just zoomed out. And that I can't hear stuff far away. It's just the way of it. Like, if I want to monitor what's happening and hear sounds, I'm gonna look here and I'll be able to hear all the sounds that's going on at the fob. But I've learned nothing about their sound engine, you know? They talk about these terms, but it's like there's no frame of reference to the difference. They're just nothing and then something. We're just going to do distance-based. And you're just like, but you had that already, so what's the difference, right? And it's insulting to think that they are getting away with not giving us any information about how it works, because, you know, when they talk techie terms, it's like, what? You know, it's like you're not using controlled experiments, you're not doing anything to prove anything was except to confuse us. And I think that's what they want to do. They want to go, we fixed it, and it's like, but how is this different from the previous? I mean, all you're claiming is that in big fleet fights, the sound better, you can turn sound on. And it's like, but it's not really. You're still going to get this snap, crackle, pop. You haven't given us the option to turn certain sounds off. You've just given us the option to turn it back on. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I might, and then I'll immediately turn them back off once I heard the crack, snap, or pop, right? It's just, I gave you a chance, you screwed it up. I knew it wasn't going to work, but yeah, you know? And that's what I'm telling you. It's like, I am halfway through this blog, and I'm getting nothing. There's no, like, I have, as much as possible, studied not only the bugs, but the audio to try to make it better. And I, for years, like for almost, like, up to a year ago, that's when I turned the sound off. But I did my damnedest to make this, tweak that, use this, just try to make sense of it, to immerse myself, because I love immersion. But it was impossible. You just couldn't do it. It was literally impossible to create a sound immersive thing for multiple clients. It just couldn't work. There was just too much interference between multiple clients, and it just exacerbated the issue of snap, crackle, pop. And it just eventually was, I can't take it anymore, so I just eliminated the sounds. There was just too many issues, and it was kind of my own fault, because it felt unimmersive. I wanted to discover how to make a workaround, and that led me down the path of realizing how foobar the system was and how utterly disgusted I was by it, and I just turned them off, except keeping one client, you know, so I can actually, you know, so you can zoom in and hear the sounds, you know, or just not hear the sounds. And you can hear at some point when you zoom out enough that the sound just cuts out, right? It goes from, you can hear it, to at some point it just cuts out, right? So what can you do? What can you do? Just either turn it off or turn it on. And that's your only options. And they're like, turn it on again. And you're like, you're not really blowing my skirt up here, buddy. So let's talk performance. As shown in a previous video, sound processing cuts CPU usage of audio in heavy scenes by about 75%. That's great. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend it. In a scene of around 2,000 ships, previously the CPU use of the audio thread could easily reach its defined limit, in turn limiting the clarity and finesse of the soundscape. With snap, crackle, pop, that's not clarity and finesse, it's just breaking the immersion. Glance at the CPU usage comparison image below, and it's clear to see the audio thread is regularly hitting 100% of utilization when sound processing is disabled. When that happens, the sound gets clutter or impacts performance. Players understandably start to disable audio in busy scenes. Look at the, understandably, thanks for the empathy, CCP. Look to the right hand side, after 20 years, look to the right hand side of the image where sound processing is turned on and the reduced demand on is striking. So disabled, so that's 100% usage of the audio, and the audio is down. But why did I still hear snap, crackle, pop here? Even with your tame scenario, and you know it's tame. You just feel it, can't you? Everything's static. There's hardly any. Like, look at all that crap. Yeah, and I still heard snap, crackle, pop. Right, of course, CCP would be like, I didn't hear anything. It's like, oh boy. Where the soundscape you would have felt overwhelming previously, you will now be able to enjoy the amazing sounds created by their talented sound designers that you mostly kicked to the curb. Oh boy. Okay. Yes, because oh yeah, you totally have to hear the in-game music by the designer of the composer of that music. And it's, yeah, perfectly fine listening to it on because it doesn't screw my game up on SoundCloud. And then the same stuff, I can even get some more stuff. But yeah, I have a jukebox now outside of the game that doesn't screw up my game. Did you give me any hint that I could go back into the game and enjoy the in-game sounds? Because I have no control over the sounds, and some of the tracks are really freaking boring. And it's like, oh, you enjoy all the amazing sounds because all the sounds, all the music was totally awesome because our guys are just the best and they're talented. It's like, I'm not some snobby art critic. Critic. Oh my god. Critic. You know, I am not here to kiss up and kick down. I'm here to play a game. You know, it's an MMO. Like to think that there's a community there. Not shut up, turn on music, sit down, and let us overwhelm you with amazing sounds. Because, you know, we don't want to overwhelm you, we just want to overawe you or something, right? We don't know. Just turn the music on. It's like, you know, you haven't really explained how the crack, snapple, pop is going to be fixed by this LOD system where we had it currently. You know? And I can still hear it in that controlled after video. So there is no information about the difference. You're saying you lowered the CPU, but I still heard snap, crackle, pop, and you didn't use a control experiment. So I don't trust it. I don't trust you guys. There's nothing here that I've learned about the sound system other than laud and this silly role-playing of, oh yeah, we're just overloading the system, but not anymore. Oh. And it's like, there is CPU usage. And it's giving us snap, crackle, pop. So I did not care that, like, yay, it was getting overwhelmed, great, but I was still getting the snap, crackle, pop. And mostly I was getting the snap, crackle, pop by the music, and especially on music when I had music enabled on multiple clients. So I'm just a little bit confused. Was Weiss trying to control 6 clients, or were there 6 instances of Weiss trying to control its own sound? You know? What was going on there? You know? But yeah, I mean, they're giving me no information about that. Like, was Weiss a third party and it was trying to juggle multiple clients at once, or were there 6 instances of Weiss trying to control its own? You know, it's like, okay, CPU total, okay, is this for a singular client? It's just like, all right, we're gonna play this. All right, so that's hopeful. So it's hopeful, and that's a better controlled situation than that shit show they had above. So it's I've got a glimmer of hope, but I still don't know what the difference is between the previous laud and the current laud. I don't know. I have no idea. All I'm doing is, that's it. Which is promising, but at the same time, yeah, it's promising. It would be nice to turn the sounds on again and not get the snap, crackle, pop. It really would. Yeah, but they could have done that. They've never done good blogs. It just sucks. But this does sound promising. Let's try it one more time, like. Yeah, sorry. As soon as you any long-term player, when they hear that sound, it's not that crack, that pop is not part of the game. it's not a sound effect of something happening in game. It's the engine going blah. So I'm not, like, a 20-second clip is not winning me over, and that definitely did not win me over here. But I'm not going to hold my breath, but it's promising. And that they're focusing on sound is good, and trying to fix problems, and admitting that there's been problems in the past, being highly condescending about it, and not explaining things properly. Like, there was laud in the past. Why are you talking about it like it's a new thing? Like, this is what confuses me. They're not, the transparency here is, as usual, zero. But yeah, that's where we're at. Hopefully that was, I was hoping, I knew it wasn't going to be informative, but hopefully what I've done is to inform you of what the missing pieces are, the stuff they didn't talk about, the lack of transparency, and hopefully you're hopeful but wary. And if you wanted to hear somebody who has a little bit of experience in dealing with this stuff but doesn't have any technical knowledge to confuse anybody, that's basically where I'm coming from. When I say laud, I mean level of detail. Zoom out, you get less detail. Zoom in, you get more detail. That's all I know, and that's what we're used to in EVE. See? You just don't hear the sounds. You're on grid, you don't hear them. You got the music, but it's third party. I've got it from only one source. And what I used to do when I had all the sounds on is let's pretend the music was up and we were listening to music from this client, not the third party, and I would not have it muted when it went inactive, but everybody else, the music would be muted when left. I actually had it at 0, but it was just a double safe. All the music was muted on all of these except the main one, if I decided to turn the music up, which I don't, because I use third party, which gives me jukebox control. So yeah. But yes, allowing us another jukebox would be indiscriminate. It would eliminate the nuance of listening to all our wonderful, talented composers' music, because that's immersive. Them strapping us down and forcing us to watch cutscenes that are immersive. That's their idea of immersion, strapping us down and making us enjoy everything, because there's no nuance. There's no indiscriminate muting of toggling off and on different things. It's the nuance of us, and you're allowing all the music to be heard and sounds to be heard because we're nuanced. You're not. You're indiscriminate. You're not to be trusted, basically, with control. Yeah. Sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. It's just... So what I suggest? Well, you're probably running a single client, probably alpha, probably not if you're watching my videos. They're not really tailored for alpha, but yeah, you're running a single Omega, full screen, all the sounds on, music probably of your own making, because you can't control what kind of tracks are being played, or maybe you listen to the music. Like I have listened to the in-game music for decades, and I still enjoy it even after 2 decades. But there were some tracks early on that I just hated, and the jukebox allowed me to get rid of it. But then as soon as I got rid of the jukebox, I moved to third party, because I only liked a few of them, and then I just added more to the list. And yeah, there are some great tracks, but some of them really suck. They're like elevator music. Oh, sorry, the talented, wonderful, let's get the proper word in. So much blather, isn't there? Never mind. Whatever. Just wonderful music. Yes, that's all wonderful. I'm just trying to read it again to understand how it was before and how it is going to be, and what the problem they are seeing is going to be dealt with. But it's the snap, crackle, pop that's the issue. And for them, it's simply full screen, playing one client. You're just having so much fun, and all the sounds are on, and you're having problems. So we're going to fix that. And it seems to me that zoomed in on a mining crew, I'm going to have the exact same problems as before. And so I'll try it when they introduce it. And it would be nice if I could test it on Singularity, but I'm not sure whether I can tell if it's disabled or enabled or not, but whatever. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. I would love to get my sound back on, because I spent so many years tweaking the sliders to get it just perfect. It was just the snap, crackle, pop that just drove me nuts, and all the other bugs. So hopefully this deals it, because I think this is their one shot at fixing their problem before walking away, and as CCP does all the time, washing its hands of it, saying, we dealt with it, we're awesome. And nothing's being dealt with at all. Yeah.